Mountain God needs no donations, only worship please. Chapter 19 Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for listening and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of his stories. As I was about to explode in anger about Remilia and the others being idiots, and they could just ask me to do it, or if they wanted some form of leverage or motivation for me, they simply could have paid me. Tiamat's soft hands landed on my shoulders from behind and the sides of my head were swallowed between her large breasts as she wrapped her arms around my chest. My son, I can feel Zeus is up to his nonsense, so I must leave now. Do not worry, for I shall always be watching and will stop any gods from interfering. I then felt Tiamat then lay a motherly kiss on the top of my head as she gave another tight squeeze, and it was only my inhumanly durable body that protected this form from being squashed like a grape from her affection. Speaking of cleaning up messes, Tiamat muttered, and then with a flash Sakuya appeared in front of Tiamat and the mother of the planet's fist was buried within the time-stopping maid's chest. A vile ripping of popping noise happened as Tiamat ripped her arm out of Sakuya, who collapsed to her knees in shock at the hole in her chest. There we go. Now for your transgression in throwing weapons at my son and attempting to break into my son's territory, I sentence you to serve my son for a century. As she passed down the sentence, the hole where Tiamat literally ripped out Sakuya's heart was filled, and a small miniature planet Earth took its place as the heart Tiamat ripped out was burnt away into ashes instantly. Your new heart will make sure you are being loyal to my son, and once your penance is over you may leave, and I will return your human heart or stay, and the heart is yours for eternity. You shall live with your time-stopping powers, Tiamat explained and then twitched, frowning. Forgive me, my son, but I truly must go now. I will see you relatively soon. With that said, her body lost all its definition and colors, turning into mere grass-covered dirt, and I could feel her presence leaving Gensokyo, and my mind was finally able to fully encompass my barrier again. As much as I wanted to awkwardly leave and throw Sakuya out of my barrier, I could feel Tiamat had made a connection between the two of us and knew should I throw her aside, then Tiamat won't bother keeping the magic heart within her operating and she would die then and there. Which is something I don't want, despite them irritating me. Remilia and company. Let's meet tomorrow night when our tempers cool, and I promise Sakuya will be treated under guest rights while she works for me today, so there are no complications in the heart Tiamat gave her. I said, making Patula's eyes widen as she recognized the name. That was the goddess of the earth. Well, in that case, Remilia, let's go home. Political maneuvering or other mind games cannot ensnare the very earth we walk upon. Patula said tiredly and then gently floated off the ground, flying in the direction that the Scarlet Mansion. Wait, who cares if it's some goddess? We can hurt. Marissa cried out, but Alice grabbed her by the scruff of her dress and quickly flew off, wearing a red ashamed face, obviously still feeling the sting of me comparing her to her overly controlling literal chaos entity mother. Remilia was the last one standing there with everyone else leaving, and was staring between me and the blank-faced Sakuya, who was still standing in front of me but had her hands over the healed side of where her heart was ripped out and was showing a good bit of her cleavage, but that little bit of a modesty was obviously not noticed by her. Sakuya, serve him well. I will barter your release if I can, she said, and I could see the childish tantrum brewing behind her experienced eyes, but she was obviously holding back her emotions to vent when she got back home. Yes, my lady, I will not dishonor the name of the Scarlet Mansion, Sakuya replied, taking heart in her lady, giving her blessing in this and wholeheartedly believing that Remilia would free her soon. I am well aware of how men treat their maids. But I ask that you do not despoil my attendant, and in return, I will give you a piece of Asgard's Bifrost that broke off during one of Loki's rebellions. Remilia said, looking pained at the offering. Lady Remilia, that is how we got here into Gensokyo. Without it, we won't be able to leave, Sakuya hissed. Remilia shook her head with a bland expression. If we return to the mortal world, we will die. I had seen our fates and it was inevitable, that's why I had us rush to Gensokyo. Sakuya fell silent and Remilia looked back to me awaiting my answer. With the shard of the Bifrost, I could probably make my own connection to the real earth, and if I spread my existence there and received faith from there, my strength would grow at an explosive rate. I mean, there are literally less than 30,000 sentient life forms here in Gensokyo. I could get that all in less than a single city block if I could project my mountain over a city like Beijing, Tokyo, or New York City. Very well, I shall not force myself upon your maid, nor shall I engineer a situation where she would do the same to me. Remilia and Sakuya's faces twitched at the reminder that as a god I could simply drown in her love magic or aphrodisiacs, but with me saying that I took that opportunity out, but that wouldn't stop me from seducing her the natural way. Yes. As a god with literally infinite mana, if I wanted to, I could easily twist the likes of Ran into my loyal pet, but for one Yukari's gap powers could fix that, and I am not the type of person to do that. Thank you. Remilia answered blandly, and then she flicked her arm in my direction and a shiny blue crystal flew in my direction and I allowed it to fly past the barrier and into my hands. Sakuya, the sun will be up soon enough. I shall return in a day or two to negotiate your release. Remilia said, sighing, and after giving me another look, she flew off to catch up with Patchouli. I flashed forward as Sakuya and stopped her head from hitting the ground as she fainted from all the stress of losing her heart physically and then the emotions of basically being forced to serve someone that she and her group offended. As I teleported Sakuya into the room beside Ran, I had a nagging thought. Why does it feel like I am going to be running a home for battered or drunk women? I mean, both Ran and Sakuya were beaten without a single chance to attempt to resist, and I can easily see how commonly the Onis and ladies like Yuko were going to get dead drunk off my sake.